This week, we have a DJ coming to see us, a young man who's got a bit of pain, and we're going to try and relieve that pain by getting him to the next level. Let's see if we can do that. Rich, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the salon in Baddow Park.
Thank you, it's nice in
It's
here.
very luxurious in here. People do love
nice.
it. Give us a little bit of background of where you finished university. So what was the seed that then brought you to DJ world?
Yeah, so all throughout university, I was DJing myself. I started off in my room in university, keeping it all to myself. And then one day, one of my flatmates said, "Oh, why don't you come and DJ at our flat party that we have?" And I used to go out every day of the week to the club. I was obsessed with it. I've always loved music. So I kind of self-taught myself DJing. And then throughout uni, I was researching how to become a bigger DJ, a bigger name. And that kind of led me to networking in my local scene. I'd go out to different clubs in the area and talk to the DJs there, talk to the managers, talk to the staff, whoever I could basically.
And Rich, at this stage, were you actually earning any money?
So I didn't get any money at this point.
This is just sweat equity you're doing now.
This was just love for the music, love for DJing itself. And I did plenty of gigs that were unpaid, or I even did one where I had to buy a ticket to the event myself.
Wow, okay.
To go and DJ. And it just kind of led to lots of connections. And eventually, in my third year of university, I got my first residency, and it was at a bar. So I was DJing there every Monday night. I think from like 7 o'clock until 2 a.m. And I got paid absolute pennies.
Right.
But I loved it. And it was my first paid gig. And that is kind of where everything started for me. I then went to try out at the biggest club at the time in Portsmouth, which is where I went to uni. And at that audition, unfortunately, I didn't get the residency there. But I did meet now one of my best friends. So we kind of got chatting and got to know each other a bit more. And he did this kind of part-time on the side at the weekends.
Right.
So I've learned everything I know off of my best friend. And for a year, for that third year of uni, every weekend, Fridays and Saturdays, I'd go out with him to his events, learn how to DJ weddings, learn how to DJ birthday parties, corporate events. I mean, Christmas was crazy for us as well because we were out maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
And from there, just kind of learned everything I could about it, learned more about the equipment, got to know more people in the scene. I got to meet the person that he learned off of.
And when you talk about the scene, you know, you're talking to a 62-year-old who runs a disco, you know, like.
Yeah.
So what is the scene? What's the sort of the place where you fit with your type of DJing?
Yeah, so there's a lot of kind of people that do it majority on the weekends. A lot of the work is Fridays and Saturdays because obviously people have work during the week. They don't want to be going out partying the night before. So there is a lot of people who kind of, they have a job through the week. And then on the weekends, they pick up the DJing, go out with all their equipment and do birthday parties and that kind of stuff. And then there's kind of the people who've been doing it a little bit longer. Maybe their prices are a little bit higher. Their setups are a little bit nicer maybe. And then you start getting the midweek bookings, the corporate events midweek. Even some weddings are starting to come midweek now as well. It's a lot more common at the moment.
It really is. I mean, we have a Thursday wedding slot that we fill mostly through the year, and a Thursday has become a very good sort of day for us for weddings.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I've kind of seen a shift even in the little time that I've been doing it from literally only Fridays and Saturdays to then Wednesdays. I get booked up quite a lot now. Yeah. The odd Sunday weddings are becoming more common as well. And
so how are you doing now? Because you're really swapping time for money. Yeah. You know, you're doing time for money and it's only you and you're replicating it. Now, there's only one thing to do, and that's put your price up and either do less work with a higher price with a better piece of PR for yourself. I mean, and what you were telling me in the pre-chat, that you've done something about that by setting up a sort of a mini agency for other DJs?
Yeah, so I'd promoted myself I went all in on marketing for my personal brand at the very start, and that led to kind of growth with my personal brand very quickly.
Tell our audience then, what does that look like? When you say you went all in for your marketing personal brand, what does that consist of and look like? I'll be interested in that.
So for me, that was talking to everybody I could. That meant making sure that I was seen everywhere I could. So I was across Instagram posts, Facebook groups. I did some school events, some school fairs. The people in the local area kind of got to know my face. Whenever I was at events, I would always speak to the bar staff, to the managers, to the cleaners even that are there after the kind of events finished. And basically did all I could to put my face in front of other people, so that they got to know me personally. And that's kind of where that connection comes between myself and the client, is that they get to know me, they know they can trust me.
And where have you got now, Rich? So that's what you've started doing. You've set up the bit of agency. For our listeners and viewers, what's it look like today, the business?
Yeah, so as I say, it kind of got busier and busier, and that meant that I was turning down jobs. And a lot of my friends, a lot of my colleagues were saying that they were struggling to get jobs, struggling to make it work for them financially, and find the gigs that were paying high enough to make it viable as a business. So rather than sending away people and disappointing these customers that were desperate for a DJ for an event that means so much to them, I wanted to kind of pass that work on to my friends, onto my colleagues that I knew would do a good job. And so this is kind of where Zip Events Group started. We set up literally just me on my own. I set up a WhatsApp group with all of these DJs in my local area. And whenever I would have an event that came through to my inbox that I couldn't fulfill myself, I would then pass it on to these people. They would go out on my behalf. And
is most of the work coming from word of mouth, or are you actually doing any paid ads or anything like that?
So I'm running Google ads at the moment, which I'm handling all myself. So that's kind of like a learning curve for me. But
that's hard, isn't it?
Yeah,
because you're doing the SEO as well, aren't you, behind the scenes?
Yeah. So I have limited knowledge on SEO, but I'm kind of I use YouTube all the time to learn whatever I can. Yeah. And so when it comes to things like SEO, Google Ads, I will sit down for hours and hours and go through every video I can find to try and get
like mini college courses, isn't
100%,
it? I love YouTube is the best, by the way. So everybody get on YouTube. You can learn anything, can't you?
100%. It will be late at night. Midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning, and I'm there glued to my TV.
Before we cruise on and find out what else we can do with the business, what's been the worst moment? You've been at a function. What's the worst moment? Give us an example of some sort of real bad stuff that can happen when you're out doing that. Because you have one chance to get this right, don't you?
Yeah.
Especially a wedding.
Weddings especially, it's super high pressure. One of the most challenging things we face as a DJ is something that's completely out of our control, and that's the weather.
Right.
So when it's really sunny, like it's been the past couple of days, and we're coming into summer now, it drives everybody outdoors. Because they don't want to be in a stuffy building. They want to be outside, enjoying the sun, drinking their cocktails. And so that kind of leaves the dance floor for us as DJs completely empty.
4 small children whizzing around in circles.
Exactly. Kicking the balloons around the dance floor, running around, going crazy.
Well, I'll tell you, we do have a fix for that at Badder Park. We have a very, very well air-conditioned orangery.
Very nice.
But I do understand, and I do see it. I see it at weddings here that, that weather draws people out, and they're starting to mingle all over the place and not actually concentrated on the dance floor where you want them to be.
Yeah, 100%. And there are things that DJs do to get around that. They might have multiple setups so that one's inside for later on in the evening. Right. They might have a smaller one that's outside on a terrace or something so that people can kind of still enjoy that music. But honestly, I think that's one of the toughest challenges we face.
And do you do any MC gigs where you're the DJ for other entertainers and stuff at an event? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, so I've done some work on behalf of other people. When I was first starting out, I used to do a lot of agency work because I couldn't get it in myself. So I kind of relied on other people sending out bookings like I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And there were other entertainers, like singers that I've worked with in the past. Other DJs also recommended me. So I was going out for them on their behalf as well.
And you do that infill bit, don't you? You might introduce them and stuff like that. And then when they're having a break or whatever, then you do the bit in between to keep the floor going if you can and stuff like that. And your knowledge of keeping the floor going, how does that work? I see DJs and I've been to places and you think, why did he play that song? Everybody left the dance floor with one song that he put on. You know, why don't they just keep everybody there?
Yeah, so
it's a bit of an art form.
There's definitely an art to it.
Yeah.
I as I say, I come from nightclubs and bars and that kind of stuff. So you'd always kind of ride the wave, is always a saying that people use.
Okay.
So you'd build up the energy slowly so that people kind of feel relaxed. The number one thing you don't want to do is make people feel awkward on the dance floor, because then they won't dance, then they just stand around, they start looking at you, or they start moving off towards the bar. And sometimes that can be a good thing. So once you've kind of ridden the wave and it's got to that peak, it might be good to sometimes come back down again. Let people kind of have a break, refresh, cool off, go to the bar, get some drinks and stuff, and then come back and kind of ride that wave again, build it up. And there is an art to that and a skill to that. And you don't want to ever peak too early in the night, because you want the end of the night to be the best bit, because that's the bit that they're going to remember when they go home, and when they're speaking to their friends, they're going to go, oh, the DJ played an absolute banger at the end of the night. So you always kind of keep a few things up your sleeve towards the end of the night.
I mean, listening to you, it's quite clear that you've got the skill set down, and you've done it from early doors, from when you just first were at university right the way through to you're at 22 now. With the agency, the margins aren't great, are they? Because we have DJs here, and lots of different DJs. People bring their own DJs. They're famous DJs with all sorts of different ways of entertainment. But Fox and Braces is a company that we have. Now, I think they have on their books about 12 different DJ setups, and they come with different add-ons and bolt-ons. And are you doing that? Are you upselling the actual event of the day?
Yeah, so there's lots of kind of things that DJs offer, and they can offer multiple booths, multiple lights, different styles and looks. But the kind of thing that we're trying to do with Zip Events Group is kind of standardize it, so that people know what they're going to be getting when they book with us. They know that it's going to be a certain standard. They know that we're going to be reliable. We're going to show up on the night. If one of our DJs falls ill, we'll send someone else out instead to fulfill that booking, so that people aren't kind of left on their big day, on their big wedding day, without a DJ. Because I imagine
is the price of Rich higher on a wedding day than it would be a 50th birthday?
Yeah, so the price of a wedding is higher, but that's not because we know we can get away with it.
Right.
It's because there's extra work that goes into a wedding. We'll have extra pre-planning calls. We'll get to know our couples a bit better, kind of reassure them throughout the process. The number one thing that I always do as well is kind of aid with the whole wedding process. So we're not just DJs. We can help with, if you're looking to book a sax player, we can help with that.
Okay.
If you're looking to book dance floors, we can help with that. And so that's kind of where our network comes in, that we can suggest people that we've worked with in the past to kind of to ensure a level of quality for the couples that we work with.
For when the girls are over there doing their wedding planning, they might be looking at a one-stop place to get all of those things put into place. So you only have one person with responsibility. Yeah. The biggest problem we have is Nobby's bringing the dance floor, Joe's bringing the sparkler boxes, the DJ's coming in there, and the saxophone doesn't know how to get to the venue. And all of that gets lost in translation. And that's why the wedding coordinators have a sweat on to try and get that right. We would much prefer to use tried and trusted contractors and push the client towards them.
Yeah,
because
100%.
we know it's trouble-free and they've got backup and all those other things. So with the agency, how many other people are around you? How many other people have you got you can use there?
So currently I have about 4 other DJs that I subcontract.
Why are they not full? In their own entity as themselves? Why are they not? Or are they only part-timers?
So these people, as I say, might have kind of jobs throughout the week and only want to do it on the weekends. So they go out for other people so that they don't have to do so much admin work.
And you're kind of the hook to get them involved in the business as well, because you're there doing the back office, if you like.
Yeah, so we handle a lot of the kind of admin for them, the booking, the arrangements on the day, things like playlists from the couples as well. We kind of handle that for them.
Are you also collecting the money?
Yeah, so we also invoice the client, and then the DJs invoice us.
But what you said earlier, you in the pre-chat, everybody, Rich was telling me about how much that he retains out of that, and what he does for it. Commonly, I don't think that's enough money. The 20% isn't enough, because the responsibility that you're putting there that someone is going to turn up, whether it's them, you, or anybody else, but on the day that will be down to you, and that'll be nothing to do. If they turn up and just say, I've had a row with my girlfriend, I can't come, that's it. And you're collecting the money, so it's your responsibility to collect the money, do the invoicing, get the dates right. I think you've got to be at least 35%. Otherwise, I think that sweat equity for that wouldn't be worth it. And that might mean, as much as you want to be fair and square to all of your mates and that you're in it, I think commercially, and I think that's the key here, that you actually start looking at it in more of a commercial sense. It has to be sustainable. And after a while, Rich, I don't think you'll want to do it for 20%. You'll want to do it for actually making it a profitable entity, and that means that you need to have more money. And it might be that you pay them less. You can charge more to get the money back out of it, but you're then going to restrict on how many gigs you're going to get. And is it quantity versus quality? And I think really, from what I can see, and I do rub up against it a bit, not a lot, there's plenty of DJs out there. So you've got to have some unique quality that makes you worth that extra 200 or 300 quid to make all those other things move around, or the DJ has to take a slide. And I think that's a bit of a painful pill, but I think somewhere along the line you have to find a stepping stone to make that work correctly to get your volumes up.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a sticky position for us to be in right now, because having worked for agencies in the past, I didn't like the rate that I was getting from the agencies. I thought it was unfair that they were taking such a big cut when they weren't really doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So that's kind of something that I've looked to solve with Zip, and pay my DJs fairly. But as you say, it's kind of like that's left the margins of the business quite small, and the admin side of things is time consuming. But I'm kind of like walled in on the other side as well, that I know the clients won't pay that higher ticket price because there is so much competition in the area for other DJs, and maybe they don't offer the same value, the same experience, but that's...
It's kind of, it's very different, isn't it? Because if you're paying Solo John, who's a fantastic singer or crooner, to come in, he markets himself out with videos of him doing stuff and the rest of it, and you know you're going to get him, and this is what he does. Where with what you're doing, it's kind of, they're going to get a DJ that's very competent and as good as what it is, but they haven't actually got the personal brand there, because the brand actually is you're the agency, and you're guaranteeing these things. Well, I think that comes at a fair price. It doesn't come as, we need Johnny, because Johnny's the best guy that we can, as a crooner, we want him to come. So I think how you build that up might be tough, to how you get premium money for those DJs. I think what you're going into, it's scalable, Rich. It's not that scalable. That's what I think. I think you need to look at other things that don't walk on two legs to give you more money. You know, you need to look at sparkler boxes. You need to look at all the letters, love, all those light up letters. So you actually become part of the wedding scene. And I would definitely lean towards wedding. When you say wedding, the money goes up. Everybody pays more money for wedding stuff. we see here outside games. It's huge. Outside games for summer weddings.
Yeah.
Someone turns up, 6 of these lovely big outsized giant games, giant deck chairs with love written on them and stuff like that. All these other things, I think that you need to look at that as being part of your package of your wedding scene. And it might be that to do that, you might go and buy another little company out that's doing it but have lost interest in doing it, and see what type of things have synergy within your wedding customer base. Because when you're selling things that walk on 2 legs, that's hard work. They're needy. They need good wages, but they also come with their faults as well. Where equipment and stuff is stuff. You buy it and it earns you money.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that?
So it's something I've kind of explored. I offer venue uplighting, photopods myself, and that's something that I'm thinking about kind of investing in. I'm at the point now where, from my personal brand, I've built up a little bit of a bankroll, and I want to use that in a way, as you say, to kind of earn me some money back. And so that's something that I've kind of dabbled with. I'm very close with someone who is also heavily into the kind of production scene. So he does a lot of the light hire and speaker hire, and that's kind of more corporate focused. But I have had discussions with him about sharing warehouse space and things like that, so that I can invest in those assets. The problem that I've found with that is that DJs like using their own setups and things like that, and using equipment that they're used to and they recognize, and they also a lot of the time will charge per evening, because it doesn't matter how much work goes into it. If they didn't have your booking, they could get one from somewhere else that would guarantee that kind of money. So it's a difficult thing, and I think choosing the right path to go down is also a difficult obstacle to overcome, because a lot of people now are doing the photopod hires because it's so cheap to buy the assets that anybody can do it and anybody can set them up. So again, the competition becomes quite high.
The barrier to entry for most of the stuff you're talking about is quite low ball money. What's in your heart? What do you see yourself? How do you see it in the next 6 years? If you could take yourself 6 years forward, how would you see, if everything worked, everything went well, where would you see yourself in 6 years?
So DJing has always been my focus right from the start, and it's something that I know inside and out. So I feel like in my mind I should be playing to my strengths. I'm not so knowledgeable on the production side of things, and to be honest, it doesn't interest me as much as DJing does. And so my kind of plan at the moment is to scale Zip, bring on more team members, get more bookings through, and charge that higher ticket price. But I'm just trying to navigate from where we are now to the kind of £1,000, £2,000 entertainment bookings rather than just DJs. So I've brought on a sax player who I kind of starting to market him alongside the DJ staff and the singers that I'm talking to and bands and things like this that are trying to expand the offerings that we have within entertainment. But yeah, I think it all comes down to proving our value as an agency to these couples.
It is difficult because I think that and I had this when I was your age as well. Your age is against you because they want to see tried and trusted stuff because it's 100%. Such a big day, and is this young whippersnapper going to be able to handle all and obviously you can, but that will be against you. I think you'll be a great entrepreneur. Whether it's in DJing, I don't know. I don't know there's enough scalability to it. I don't know if there's enough. You do it, you're going to sell it. Is it sellable to anybody else? Does that really sell across to other people? I'm not too sure. And I think what you need to do is ask yourself questions that, yes, this is a passionate thing and a love that you've got. I'm very passionate about custom cars, but I don't do it as a business because there's a lot of money to earn out of it. what I'm trying to demonstrate there is that I think at your age, you have definitely a chance to pivot into other stuff. Because when you do run the numbers of what you're doing, it looks like swapping time for money and a very good living. But it's not entrepreneurial glitter going forward. I don't think it would scale enough. Listen, there'll be unicorns that have done it, and they'll be out there. Whether there's enough room for another agency and that, I don't know. I'd love to be proved wrong, but I think that you'd have to go into the entertainment industry as opposed to just the DJ, like you alluded to. But I think that would be where you'd have to be, putting people out there and taking a piece of the action, and you do all the back office stuff and all the sweat and tears to make it all happen on the day. But you could do that by just finding other entertainers that are too lazy to do that,
Yeah, it's definitely something that I kind of want to expand upon, and I agree. Like I always want to be working on something. I always want to be kind of pushing in different directions and finding out where I can expand and where there's gaps in the market. But yeah, it just comes down to
Rich,
margins.
and it isn't to diminish your enthusiasm. So I just think that sometimes working hard isn't necessarily the answer. We get rewarded for working hard, but if you work smart with a smarter model, you'll get there very much quicker. And I think sometimes it's tweaking the model to work out that we can add this on or not do that or do this. And that might be that, in my case, we were cutting grass for years and years before we did anything else. And we got that down, and it was very, very profitable. And then we started buying commercial property. Then we started buying other things. Then we started going into other areas. But we got our main money churner and earner down. And we got that right, and we built up a big client base. And we, like you, we went from private customers up to commercial customers, up to national customers. So I think that there is a way to do it. Whether you can do that with DJing, I think you need to probably have a look at that and see if there's something else inside your Zyke that you like and you've got a sort of a passionate for. But I think that's what you might have to look at if you want to be going up that scale. Because otherwise you're just going to have a very, very good job and be known for being that DJ. But and you've got to work out and ask yourself those questions.
I do agree. I do kind of understand the position that I'm in right now, and I understand that I am swapping my time for money. But I kind of...
It's dangerous coming on here with me because I will only tell the truth. And that's what I really feel. I feel that in front of me, you're very, very capable, but that might not be where the capability needs to go. If that makes sense, Rich. So, Rich, you've got some questions for me. You can keep the phone out there and have a look at them, and then just fire away. Let me see what I can do with your questions. Here we go.
So, one of my questions for you was, you were talking about obviously going through the tree surgery stuff that you used to do, and then moving into different areas. But how did you kind of take that leap, and when did you know it was the right moment, and how did you know what other kind of areas to go into?
Okay. Just to correct you there, we still do tree surgery today. Men are out today, so we've never stopped.
Okay.
So we've always kept that key thing that we know so much. We know it inside out and backwards, and we've kept that going because our customer base is huge, and we've got some loyal customers that only use us and they come back to us. So that still goes out, and that is, bringing in fast pounds coming in, and we take those fast pounds and then we're putting them into commercial property, wedding venues that is slow pounds. And that's, we're getting real estate that's going up while we're asleep at night, and it's also got a revenue coming in, and we're building up the revenue on the pile of bricks, and that's making the pile of bricks go up even more. So that was the idea there. I think I got frustrated because the industry was a cottage industry, a man and a van, and that was it. And we got really tied up with going to the Arboricultural Conference, and that was a national conference. And what that had tree officers from all around the country going into one place. This particular time was in Liverpool, and in the end, I ended up sponsoring that because I found out, who supplied the pens and the clipboards. I think they were donated by the college. Well, I will provide them next year. Put our name all over it, and then we became the main sponsor for it. So even when people left the conference, they had our clipboard and pens and bags and everything else. Very cheap promotion, but we were getting famous to a very small niche amount of people. But they also had massive budgets to spend on tree surgery. And then we got to know them, and that gave us our national reach in a big commercial way. Bit dangerous because they were very slow payers back in the day, 60, 90 days. It was quite hard work. You had big overdrafts to cope with it all. But I think, Rich, to answer your question, it was really out of frustration of it being such a cottage industry, and I thought we could turn it into sort of a more national setup. But that came with its challenges, because you're taking men out of their van and earning a good living and putting them into a commercial employment. And you had to have motivation, you had to have bonus schemes, they had to be responsible for their crew or 4 or 5 crews, and that's how we built it up. There's a lot of work, that was a lot of work to do that.
So Baddow Park seems like a completely different industry and unrelated. So how did you kind of...
Baddow Park, I think I have spoke about this before on other pods, but Baddow Park is a hiccup, because we had sold a big site to one of the big house builders, and there were revenues coming in from that either were going to get heavily taxed or we moved them into something else commercial.
Right.
And we were really going for the business park that sits at the back of the big estate here.
Right.
And then we were selling off the house and the garden. And just as we were doing that, it was all going to happen seamlessly on the same day, because they wouldn't split it up. The people that were selling the estate, the trustees, they wouldn't split it up. You had to buy everything. So on the day, I was going to split it up on the day. And we had someone that was going to do it. And Rich, 2 weeks before that, he came round and said, I don't want to do it. My wife says she doesn't want to do it. I said, well, that's very good of your wife. However, 2 weeks to go and find another couple of million quid was like... very boring. So we did it, and went under the sofa and found some more money and made it happen. But we ended up with the pile of bricks. The guy had left his business plan, and he was so embarrassed he walked off, left his business plan. Christina, my secretary, picked it up. She had a read of it, and the next day we sat down and looked at it together, and it was very, very profitable. And that's how we kind of got into the wedding industry. And I think by that time, we were doing tree surgery, building work, landscaping, hard landscaping. We were prepping sites for sale for housing. We were quite adept to doing stuff. And to adapt, you're only taking the same skill set, Rich, really, that is people skills, turning up on time.
Yeah.
Getting prices for the right money, getting stuff for the right money on prices, getting quotes in, marshalling subcontractors. It's the same stuff, but just on a slightly bigger scale. And we got into the wedding industry.
Cool. So you literally just got it got given, and then you just turned it around. And
yeah, I mean, we paid the extra money for the pile of bricks. Then what we could do, and we looked at doing flats, doing other things. It was a massive house here. When we started unpicking it, the £2 million budget went to 4 million. It just did.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't advise anybody, if you want to get into the wedding industry, don't do it this way. But to create it was a lot more expensive. I'm a bit OCD, so we did it very, 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 very well. So we worked hard on finding what was the new blue ocean of weddings. How could we do it better? Because why would we want to do it the same as everybody else? So we started looking at the industry. We got specialists to come in. Kelly Chandler was a consultant that came in and helped us. And that I say to people watching and listening, get consultancies to hold your hand, get them to come in. And I say this on my pod a lot. Bring specialists in that speak wedding. You need someone that knows what wedding sounds like, and speaks like and sounds like. It's like the same with your DJ language. So I think that helps. Rich, you spoke earlier about having team players and stuff like that. It's great building teams. It's very creative. And I think a true entrepreneur is a real creative being. I think you kind of have to be. And that's the whole gig, isn't it? That's what you get off on. And having the control that you're doing it your way, whether that's right or wrong, but you're doing it at your speed and your time.
Yeah, I always like listening to how other people have done it, the problems they face, that I kind of avoid those, but I also like getting stuck in and figuring it out. And then if I do come across a problem of my own, I try and figure out a solution to get around it and kind of let that happen organically.
Listen, the idea of Entrepreneurs Conversations is to try and let people see what's happened with other people and how they've done it, what their journey is, to try and mitigate some of the trips and falls. However, there's nothing better than a proper trip up, flat-faced on the floor, to get a proper scar in your back. We are never having partners in the business ever again. You need to really learn that yourself. As much as we say it, you probably need to do some of that failing yourself to get really, really tuned into how you're going to do stuff into the future.
Yeah. I guess another kind of question I had for you was, as Baddow Park, what's your relationship like with vendors? How do you go about, from the venue's standpoint, of vetting the people that you let into your world here? Right.
There's a couple of things there. I don't run the business, so I'm nothing to really do with the business. I'll talk about acquisitions of new car park or whatever we might doing, but I have a team that we've invested heavily in, and we've brought from very experienced people from other wedding venues. They come with some of the contractors that they know and trust.
Okay.
We probably get 10 inquiries a month. Can we be your florist? Can we be your DJ? Can we be your cake lady? Can we be your suit maker for the thing? And listen, it's hard, because for us to do the amount of weddings we do, we're doing up to nearly 70 weddings a year now. Or to do that very, very crisply, 2 weddings a week, every week, that is probably, that takes tuning. We can't have a hiccup of a contractor that doesn't work. So it's hard, because they're quite, a lot of customers will bring their own DJs and entertainment themselves, and we work with that. But if there's a bride and groom asking us to do it for them, we will commonly go to safe houses that we can do it. So our relationships with them is, when we do a show round or we do an open day, those DJs or artists will come in and perform for nothing. And they'll do that. If we've got someone that's doing calligraphy on handwritten letters and stuff like that, and invitations, they'll come in and set up and show off their stuff, and they'll do some stuff for us as well. So we don't do a kickback where we'll book you give us 20%, this, that. We don't do that. Some venues do that. That's actually quite common in it. My team, we chose to not do that. We want a high quality user. We use stock florist, very good florist, very local, got very, very good reputation, and big fridges where they keep their stock and stuff. So any problems, they're local, as opposed to someone from out of town, and it all goes horribly warm on the day, and the things can go a bit awry. So we think like that because we've got one chance to do it right, and we are holding the ball. Especially if we're doing some of it that we mainly do is the consultancy for doing the actual planning for the wedding with them. So I think that's an obstacle that you've got to get up against, because there's people that are already in that position that are very smuggled in with their group.
Yeah. So if, say, someone was coming to you to kind of look to weave their way into that recommended suppliers list, what would be a method that you would say would stand out, would make you go, okay, maybe we'll have a chat with these people?
I think if you turned up here and said, look, hi, and be super truthful, and all you entrepreneurs out there, you need to be, there's no point in saying, I'm a big DJ geezer. It's no way. You need to say, I'm a small outfit, I'm looking to desperately get in amongst this quality of venue. So that's fluffing the venue by saying that. Is there a chance, if you've got an open day, that I could come in and do a set for free? And then try it. if you've got the girls on the right day and this, that and the other, they, and you've got empathy with them, and it's the third or fourth time that you've done that, and you keep sending them small bars of chocolate, and you send them, what does James send? A tea bag connected to an email or something, or connected to a handwritten letter. But you've got to do something to get their attention, and that might just be that you just keep turning up and asking and asking and asking.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to make the difference to do that. And once you're in a venue and they're very pleased with you, it's a very repeatable customer base.
Exactly.
And you work hard on that. It'd be, you could be here 20 years later still doing stuff, with your sets.
So it's that repeat business that I'm kind of trying to look for right now. Yeah. And one of the things I actually did was take one of your pieces of advice from a previous episode, which was something I believe you did with the kind of tree surgery business, and that was the custom mugs.
Yes.
And going around to venues and handing those out and just having that chat.
Yeah.
So I've bought myself a set of mugs, and I intend to kind of go around to local venues to me, just go and have a chat to their staff, leave a couple mugs, and obviously show my face as much as I can.
Yeah. Those clunky things do work. I'll leave you for you guys in the back room. I'll leave you, half a dozen mugs or whatever. I don't want to be mugged off. Could use that, whatever. But I'm looking for work.
Yeah.
I'm really looking to set myself going. I've been and you can tell the story. I've been doing it for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Quite successfully. But this face is still young. I need to get into the thing, and you need to build a rapport with those people. But you need to find out exactly who you need to speak to as well.
Yeah.
Go and speak to housekeeping. Who's the lady? Who's the man that books up all the DJ stuff? Who's the wedding planner? And then speak to wedding planners. Independent. We have independent wedding planners come here.
Yeah.
Not so many. One in 10 is an independent wedding planner, and they'll have all their favourites and this, that, and the other. Speak to them. They're usually very high end, because a wedding planner takes a percentage of the wedding spend.
Yeah.
So they usually are 100 grand plus, so they can go and earn 10 grand out of it.
Yeah.
And they're probably taking 10% out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that they're not as prevalent as you think at the sector.
Yeah. So when I first started out, that was one of the things that I did. I kind of dropped emails into inboxes of every event planner I could find. Yeah. Didn't get any responses, and maybe that's for a good reason. Obviously I was very, very fresh then. I maybe didn't go about it the right way, but it's all about people, I feel, in this game.
But I think what you could do, is look at all of the questions that aren't asked on Google, that have the word DJ in them,
mm-hmm.
and then make a video and answer the top 10.
Yep.
So you make 10 videos that answer all of those problems. How much does a DJ cost at a wedding? How long does a DJ stay at a wedding? How do you do a set of a DJ's songs for me? Answer those top questions, but do it in video format, and you start becoming the authority on DJ weddings.
Mm-hmm.
How does it DJ? And then you become that authority. So when people look up wedding DJ, ping, your little face comes up, and there it is, and they can start looking at it, and then you're just telling stories about how things should be, how they shouldn't be, and then all of a sudden they say, well, he actually knows his stuff here. Why don't we just call him?
Yeah.
And that's really what happens. But that's building yourself up as a personal brand, and you becoming the niche authority on how it should be success at a wedding for a DJ.
Yeah, because a lot of people...
/ entertainment,
Yeah, a lot of people, obviously, it's their first wedding. Yeah. They don't know anything about how to organise a wedding, how it should be, what times things should be. And so I do get a lot of questions already.
Yeah.
And I've put out a couple of videos and stuff on our social media. But yeah, that's something that I need to continue.
But go onto YouTube. Just build yourself a little channel there.
Yeah.
Zip DJs, entertainment, whatever it is, and just do a little bit of graphics on that. Bring it up, and just short bursts of information. The only thing I would say is that you need to do it every week, every 2 weeks. Put one out.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks. Well, that's a bit of sweat.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of editing, and that's a bit of time. That's why we have people like Ollie that runs all things technical, because I haven't got the time to do it. But Ollie's full time. and I'm not saying go and get someone full-time, but I'm saying that you need to do that repetitive thing. So you're building up that famous to a few in that sector, and that's what you become. You become that person.
Yeah.
I was sort of being less enthusiastic about it earlier. But if that's your thing and that's what you want to do, then you need to put the sweat and time into it, that you do become that person that is in that sector. Someone's got to be.
Yeah. 100%.
Somebody's got to be. So it might as well be you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But I think you need to be looking at other junk alongside that gives you more revenue coming in when you're not necessarily pressing the buttons yourself. And I know we talked about those other bolt-on and other bits and pieces around wedding, but it might be something else. It might be, I'm trying to think bouncy castles, but they've kind of had their day. I'm sure there's other stuff coming along.
I feel like the most common things out there don't really interest me. But what does interest me is other offerings that are more creative, maybe, that other people aren't offering. There's a few things that I've kind of got in the works right now, and I do need to knuckle down and get those finished, that I can start offering those. But I like being creative with lighting and things like that, and I feel that's something that a lot of people kind of don't approach.
But look at this for a question. If you sold your business tomorrow, and one of the things that they commonly do is lock you out of the industry, if that happened tomorrow, what would you do?
You've put me on the spot there.
Yes.
I don't know, honestly, because...
So you can't do anything to do with weddings again, this, that, all that's been shut down from you because they've bought your company.
Yeah.
And now you're locked out 3 years, you're in the wilderness. What would you do to earn money?
I think if I was locked out of DJing and entertainments in general, I think I'd honestly offer marketing advice and branding advice to DJs, like other DJ companies. So I'd be more of a kind of consultant, maybe, for those people.
You have answered your own question. Because what I said earlier about doing the stuff on YouTube, you become the authority.
Okay.
You become not only what you do at a wedding, but you become the authority on DJing into the market. This new equipment. These are the great microphones, and all of a sudden microphone companies are sponsoring you, and you're doing stuff and you become that, not just for the end user, the wedding booker, but also for the people doing weddings, and you become the DJ guy. All things to do with DJ, because by still having that enthusiasm to be in it, even though you're locked out of the industry, you just went to a shift to one end, and that was interesting to see you do that. Well, that's where the passion is. My only kind of thought there is, if I then start helping other DJ companies maybe fill in those parts where they're not so strong, then they become more of a competitor for my business. Do they? Or is that just paranoia that lives in your head? Listen, we have people here that try and secret shop us. My ladies that run this for us, Kelly and Gaynor, are like white witches. They can see through them. This is my boyfriend Tom. No, it's not. This is your work colleague, and you're from another wedding venue up the road. Listen, stop doing things like that. Come in. What do you want to know? And we will tell them everything, because we strongly believe that even if we gave you all of the tricks in the book, you can't do it the way we do it, because we are so good at what we do, and we have so much good quality employees, training schemes, culture within our business that we could show you all the tricks, but you could never produce the same as us. Plus, you can't produce this pile of bricks as we've got this pile of bricks.
Right, yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about that. I would be more in time to that you actually are now making yourself more valuable by being that authority. And then those other people will say, well, actually, we could get you to do that gig for us because that's too big for us. I think that's internal paranoia. Don't worry about that.
I guess as people kind of get to know your name and maybe you're helping people, they want to help you back. So, but
reciprocation is it. So if I go into any room anywhere, how can I help someone? Because that will just come back in droves. I've had tree surgeons that have worked for me. They've left, gone off, and they've become the head of parks in London. And they've come back to me 5-6 years later. Hello. Hello. said, could you quote for this? Because we've had some quotes. It's all ridiculous. They're no good. I know we can trust you because I used to work for you. And all of a sudden, we're doing all the Royal Parks.
Yeah.
And those type of things do happen.
Yeah.
But that's only sowing those seeds in people's minds because you have become a good egg through that. You've become the good guy, as opposed to we're not going to tell anybody. I don't think that works at all. Giving is absolutely on priority. You should always be trying to help everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I'm very transparent with my team and those that I trust and are close to me.
Yeah.
But maybe I do need to kind of open that up wider and invite everybody into that.
Yeah. What other questions?
How would you go about changing, from what I've told you, changing my business model into something that maybe is a bit more profitable, maybe has a bit more legs to it? I
mean, we spoke quite a bit about it earlier, but I think you need to look at your personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
So you become the authority on the DJ world, from setup, equipment, to costing, to add-ons and bolt-ons. So you talk your way through all of that in different videos that you do. And then you cut those videos, those YouTube videos up, and then use them in your socials. So you're hitting the socials all the time. Own your domains. Your zip is a great name. Own that. I think you need to do it where you're across the actual industry and the retail of the industry as well. And you get known for that. And then go and interview other DJs. Go and interview Fox and Braces. Go and interview other wedding venues. A great way to get into a wedding venue is say, we're coming to, could I come as, I'm Zip DJ, I want to interview the wedding venue of what you look for a DJ in your wedding venue. And all of a sudden, oh, yes, we'd love to do that. Oh, perhaps you could do some DJing for us. I think you just become the hook for all of that stuff. But it's a lot of work, and you've got to get the socials out there, and you've got to get that YouTube channel going.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that you've got to look at is when people hunt wedding, those videos could be 4 or 5 years old. When people look for stuff here, it's at least 6 years old. That's when we started this here. People go and look at that. They trawl through all of that first. So the sweat that you do today can last for years and years. Those videos can still be there because it's another new set of lookers. It could be another guy coming out of college wanting to be a DJ, looking at your old stuff. It could be a bride that's never bought wedding before, but they know they need a DJ, so they've typed in DJ wedding, and you come up, and then you own that space. And look at who owns that space now. Is there someone that already owns that space? Because if there is, go and interview them.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. And like you were rubbing up against everybody when you were at college to get to know the actual nuts and bolts of the game, come into this world, into YouTube land, and rub up against all the people that are talking about DJ there.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, and it's your thing. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah, there's definitely some kind of there's big players in the US especially. And I feel like the US definitely dominates kind of the DJ side of YouTube. But there's definitely some guys that I've met.
But then go and interview them, or interview them online. Do an interview. This is the Limey here from England. Hiya. We want to find out some tricks and flicks. Can you share them with? They'll definitely share it with you. They've got nothing to lose. Plus, an American loves a hook into England. They love it. Can you say that again? Oh, you're charming. Can you say that again? Oh, you're charming. They love all that stuff. The old Americans love it. You could end up being a bigger superstar over there than you are here. But I think that's what you need to do is be that authentic you that has sustainability in what you love going forward, and you just work out how you monetize that going through.
I feel like that's definitely something that I'll explore as I'm going along. Maybe things will crop up that might be a bit.
Rich, they will only crop up if you make them crop up. No one's coming along to just sprinkle some entrepreneur dust. And I'm giving you ideas. It's for you, and this is what I say to everybody, especially when we have younger people in here. It's for you to do implementation. And you might implement and it might fall flat on its face. That's all right. You've learnt a lesson, tweak the model, change direction, pivot, and off you go in another way. But it's, I hear it in your tone of voice. I'll look at, it's for you to do the implementation, and make those bold decisions.
100%. I do feel like I need to take bigger steps now, especially I'm at a bit of a
do you know, the
point.
real thing that I love is having somebody of your age here on Entrepreneurs Conversations is that you have so much time on your hands in your 20s to tweak, fall over, to get ready. So when you hit your 30s, you know exactly what you're doing into multi-million pound entrepreneur, independent wealth, because that's really what you want. And I think when I spoke to you earlier, in your heart, you know there is that person in there.
Yeah.
You've just got to find the right vehicle to get it out into the thing. And that's it. And it lives inside here. And there's stars in your eyes. Don't let them get burnt out with a few trips and falls. You need to actually forge ahead. And, you know, you'll fall off the bridge and fall off, but you will get on. Do more stuff. Listen to more podcasts of business. Make sure you listen to the right ones and not just American spoony crap that does, you know, these are the 5 ways to get rich. You know, it's rubbish.
Yep.
It's about grit and determination and getting models that work for you to scale.
Yeah, 100%.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have features, Oliver?
We do. We've got a couple of questions. So I've got 2 questions. One is just for Rich, but the first one, which is for both of you, is: do you have a favourite record at the moment?
You're the DJ. Come on, there must be a favourite thing that's out, isn't it? What are you thinking?
It's such a tough choice.
Well, it's not like you don't know it. They're all spinning past
It's because
your
there's
hands.
so many. My favourite has got to be Faithful. Do you know that one?
Be faithful.
Fat Man Scoop.
All right.
Oh,
Do I?
any dance
no
floor.
idea.
If you've, you won't know the name, but when you hear it, I reckon you know it.
I love a bit of CeeLo Green.
Oh, yeah?
CeeLo Green's a cool dude, isn't he?
Yeah.
Now, there's a man, CeeLo Green, if you look at his backstory, he had a lot against him, that fella. He had a lot of trials and tribulations against him, and he came out of that. I love his stuff. He's really cool. All upbeat stuff, and it's very good. Yeah. I go in there, Ollie, on rare occasions, I'll turn up to a wedding, and it's like a morgue. There's a DJ bashing it out, a few kids spinning around, and everybody's having a nice cup of coffee. Next week, it's like a bloody rave. They're standing on the tables. There's light things going round.
Yeah.
And, oh my God! So it just goes to show you how people balance what a party is and what they want out of their day.
Goes from one extreme to the other.
I'm going to imagine, Rich, you've seen it all, haven't you?
I've seen it all now. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Yeah, nothing surprises me at a wedding anymore.
Okay.
So my next question is just for Rich. Is there a song that you feel like you have to play at every event that you just absolutely hate?
Oh, okay, right. This is going to get me a lot of hate, but it has to be ABBA. I hate playing ABBA.
Do you?
Yeah, and Mamma Mia is the number one that every bride wants me to play. Mamma Mia, and so I have to hit play, but. Yeah,
but you're just showing your age. That's all that is. Don't worry about that. That's fine. We have lots of first dances. They have weird stuff for first dances sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, you do. You get the because it's so emotional.
Yeah.
I feel like people really pick the ones that maybe
Ed
you might not
Sheeran
know.
is quite popular. Ed Sheeran playing here. Yeah.
I've got a wedding coming up that they've said definitely no Ed Sheeran the whole day.
That's great.
Yeah, so you get the people that love it and people that hate it and don't want to hear any of it.
But that's all part of your planning and camaraderie with them and doing a report and stuff, isn't it? That's great. What else, Ollie? Have we got anything else?
So our next feature is: what are we watching?
What educational or just
anything?
Anything.
What have you been watching?
What are you watching?
So as well as this podcast, I also watch a lot of James Sinclair's podcast.
Yeah, James, my good friend James. Yeah, very good
That's
stuff.
actually where I found you from, I think.
Okay.
So I watch a lot of James Sinclair's podcasts as well. I kind of go all the way back. I know that he has a lot of bigger businesses on his podcast. Yeah. So I kind of search for the ones where it's maybe people that are just starting out or a little bit smaller so that I can pick up some of those tips and tricks that are more crucial at the stage.
I think, Rich, that James, very similar to me, we are very, very passionate about getting people going in the right direction. And that saying that I said earlier, James Sinclair says it this as well. We're looking to get you to work smarter than just hard. We meet so many people, they just work like dogs, but it's not necessarily what's actually making them money. It might just be that you just got to just change and pivot a little bit and then start working smart.
Yeah.
Where, you know, as entrepreneurs, you come up with this great idea and then you become an operator of that great idea. And then where's the entrepreneur? Well, he's too busy at the moment because he's operating the business.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you are, but you need to find space to be able to, you know, an apportionment of your time is to come out of the business and have a bit of entrepreneur dust and start doing those, looking over fences and round corners to find new opportunities.
Yeah.
And listen, you're doing that by being here today. By being here today, you've taken that step to actually improve yourself, be seen by another audience, and that they can come and find you and stuff like that. So I think that's important, and I definitely want to see people get to where they want to be quicker. They're still going to have some scars and trips and flicks, you know, happen to them. But I think it as a community, hanging out with people that have done it before, that's good advice, and you're doing that. So I think you're on your way to that.
Yeah. Thank you,
Richard. If people want your dulcet tones down the mic and your spinning discs, where do they find you? Shoot down that camera and tell them.
So our website is zipevents.uk. It's exactly the same on Instagram. It's exactly the same on TikTok, at zipevents.uk. So you can drop us an email, fill out our inquiry form on there if you want to book us for your event, and I'm happy to talk to whoever about their events. Doesn't matter what questions you've got, always got time of day for anybody interested.
That was very professional, wasn't it? Honestly, that's the best one we've ever had. That was mint. That was absolutely brilliant.
That one.
You did that.
Done that once or twice.
Listen, Rich, thank you very much for spending the time over here, all the way from Kent.
Thank you
and
very much.
I wish you all the success in the future.
Thank you, James.
Thank you. If you've enjoyed the episode, make sure you hit those buttons and bells, and make sure you do the subscribe and give us a comment. Let us know what you think of the pods and how we're getting on and how we're delivering the message of entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs conversation. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you on the next one.